Welcome in to another episode of Building the Pride. I am your host, Drew, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. Drew, how about yourself?
I am also hanging in there. It's an apt descriptor for this week so far.
It's always a good week when you come off a victory, right?
Yes.
So, like, how could we be doing bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the very least, hanging in there. Like, that's the worst we could be doing.
Yep. So I think you said last week, like, you can't be 17-0 if you don't start 1-0, something like that.
Yep.
You know?
If you don't win the first one, you can't win them all.
That's right.
1 down, 16 to go.
Yeah, we'll just take off week 5. But let's do some news and notes from around the NFL first, shall we?
Well, first, let's throw a shout out to John Hirsch, our new subscriber. Appreciate you, John. John is a Bengals fan, I believe, but cool enough to sub and watch us. So that's cool. So appreciate you, John.
That is a bummer this time of year because they did not have a very good week 1.
Did they? I did not get to watch a ton. I mean, obviously I watched the Lions game, but I did not get to watch a bunch of the games. I don't even know what most of the scores are. I was out of town, so
well, don't worry, I got you covered. So
flew me in there, buddy.
So first of all, what's up, Donkey Kong, Dr. Detroit? Glad you guys stopped by. Hatters was here early. I hope he's still here. But so unfortunately, what is it? His name's Hirsch. Is that his name?
Hirsch. Yep, John.
So unfortunately for John, the Bengals are notoriously slow starters. Over the last couple seasons, the Joe Burrow era, I guess, and the Patriots knocked them off in week 1.
I did see the Patriots won. I didn't realize it was with the Bengals.
Yeah,
against the Bengals.
I mean, it wasn't like a crazy scoring game or anything. I think it was like 17-10 or what have you. But there might have been some issue with T. Higgins maybe not being able to go. I know Jamar Chase was in the middle of a contract dispute with the Bengals, and so there had been some will he, won't he leading up to the game, and he decided to play, so he was on the field. I mean, I guess so. But yeah, ultimately they didn't win, so that's a real bummer. Some news and notes, though, just real quick. Dak Prescott got $60 million, 231 I saw reported as guaranteed money out of 240. So 99% of the money is guaranteed.
They're like, we will not give you a fully guaranteed contract. How about 99%? Done.
I mean, I wonder. I mean, let me get up my calculator just real quick here. What is 231 divided by 240? It's 96%. My mistake. Not so. The Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, way to hold strong, Jerry.
That's right. So the Deshaun Watson contract was 100% guaranteed and has largely been denied by the NFL when they are doing new contracts. No one has given out a 100% guaranteed deal, but the Cowboys just gave 96.25% guaranteed money on the largest quarterback contract per year. It's not bigger than Mahomes' 10-year deal, but like they just gave out more guaranteed money than, I mean, almost as much as you can give. I mean, I wonder what they were like. All right, we'll give you back the 9. Save face money or whatever. But anyways, he's going to be the quarterback in Dallas for this season and the next 4 years, and they can avoid that whole thing. But now they have paid CeeDee Lamb, they've paid Dak Prescott, which means Micah Parsons is up next, and I cannot believe for a single second that you are not going to pay that dude every bit of money.
He'll reset the market when it's his
he
turn.
will. And I think that Nick Bosa is the highest paid edge player in the NFL currently by a decent margin. And if I was Micah Parsons, I would be like, fuck that. I am the best edge player in the NFL. You're going to pay me like some. But, Brian just showed up. Brian Morski. Hey, Brian. And he reminded me, greetings from the Packer front lines. Good game. Lots of work done. Really excited about the team overall. I think that he's talking about the Packers. Is that how you read that?
It could be both. Like, we've got lots to work on. It was a good game. Any game that's a W is a good game. and I'm excited about the Lions. So it could be that, or it could be about the Packers because they also had played a good game. And they
Did
lost a
not win.
quarterback, which is a real bummer. But
Yeah,
at
I
least for
saw
a few weeks.
3 to 6 weeks for Jordan. I saw.
Yeah,
So let's call it a month.
he'll be back in time for the Lions.
They. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So he's in the heart of Packers country. I got you. Okay, thank you, Brian, for the update. But they traded for Malik Willis before the season. Traded a 7th-round pick, so he is their backup. So they are going into next week with Malik Willis from the worst quarterback class in the modern NFL era as their starting quarterback. Maybe it's going to be better than I think it is, but what I was thinking was not very good. So
I mean, I hope not, right? I mean, they're our biggest competition in the North. So, like, I want them to lose all their games.
yeah. Sorry, Brian, but I don't want to speak for Mike, but I actively hate the Packers. Mostly I hate Aaron Rodgers. I guess I don't really care about the Packers much outside of that. So they have Indianapolis in Green Bay this week. So, oh, by the way, I don't know if you saw, yeah, Donkey Kong let us know what he was thinking. I don't know if you saw Anthony Richardson's 60-yard touchdown pass.
I did not.
But you should watch that shit. That was amazing.
Just a flick of the wrist too, probably.
The dude puts it up 65 yards off of his back foot. Almost perfect. His wide receiver just outruns the coverage and runs right under the ball. Just a thing of beauty. Like,
did you send that to me in Discord?
I would be happy to send it to you.
No, I wasn't sure if you already did because I saw you sent me something.
I
just haven't had a chance to look at it yet. So
no, that's not what I sent you.
Okay.
So, but I'll find it and send it to you. It was really pretty. Yeah. So Jordan Love went down, unfortunately. Dak got the bag. Cleveland and Carolina look almost like not functional NFL franchises.
New Orleans beat them by 37 points. Them being Carolina by 37 points.
I watched a quarter of the game. I don't remember which quarter it was, but I just remember thinking there's no strategy, or if Jesus Christ came down from heaven and spoke to the Carolina Panthers, there's nothing he could do. The dude could literally change water into wine, walked on water, cured the sick, but he can't make the Carolina Panthers any better. Like, that might be too much for the Messiah to take care of at this point. They're bad.
That bad.
They're bad everywhere. I'm glad we don't have any Panthers fans in chat right now because they were awful. So,
and they could have had Caleb Williams.
But yeah, if they had been patient, their owner's not patient. But they are going to. They are probably going to be picking if week 1 was any indication of how they're going to play the whole season, they're going to be picking right near the top again, and there will be guys there that I think are better fits than Bryce Young for quarterback. But you can't, if Bryce Young plays like he did this game the whole season, you can't. Caleb Williams does not suck. You can't have him. You can't go with him into year 3. You can't.
Yeah,
it's just awful. So, but Caleb Williams did not have a great game. That was obvious watching him play. But I don't think he sucks. So,
well, I mean, they were a 3-win team or something last year. So it's not like they're a really good team. I mean, he's got some weapons, right? They've got a really good set of wide receivers. They've got DeAndre Swift as their running back. So they do have some weapons, but he's still a rookie. Like, Peyton Manning had 29 interceptions his rookie season. So rookies are going to have that kind of stuff. So he's I think he did fine. They won, which is really ultimately all that matters. But he didn't look great doing it. That just doesn't mean that he himself is going to be bad by any means.
On the other hand, Minnesota looked real good. I mean, they were playing the Giants, but I mean, the Bears were 7-10 last year.
Oh, were they? I thought they were only a 3-win.
That was the year before they were 3 wins. So, Minnesota looked great. Sam Darnold had the highest quarterback score from PFF this week.
Yeah, of course, right?
That was just
the perennial MVP candidate Sam Darnold is leading the NFL in. Actually, Brock Purdy edges him out on overall. Brock Purdy ended up at an 89.6, but going into Monday Night Football, Sam Darnold was leading the NFL in Week 1 with an 88.1 overall grade.
That's crazy. So, I mean, like, here's the thing. It's just the reason I bring that up is I'm like,
Hatter says Darnold's always good for Week 1.
Yeah, well, that is true. Like, he has started off slowly before. So, or they have, he has started off on fire before, and then the thing about it is that he'd have like 3 or 4 good games, and then all of a sudden the wheels would come off. So we'll see if that's the reality, right? So I don't know when we play the Vikings, but right now I'd like to play the Bears pretty soon, and I'd like to wait on the Vikings.
Yeah. So get Caleb while he's struggling.
Get Caleb while he's nervous, and let Sam wear off a little bit, So
yeah.
But so I think the NFC North has got 3 teams with a win and 1 team with a loss, and not the way I wanted it to start out, so to speak. But the North isn't going to lay down for anybody. You hope our pass rush improves. What didn't you like about our pass rush?
It was fantastic.
The problem with Detroit's pass rush this season is that Matthew Stafford is like a firecracker. Like, he gets the ball out, you light a fuse and the ball's out within like 2 seconds. Like, there's no pass rush on earth that's gonna.
He was the second fastest to get rid of the ball because he had to. If he waited any longer, he would have been down on the ground, and he was a few times too. So
hey, Daniel Jones is horrible. So, which is why the Giants are going to be picking a quarterback in my first round mocks the whole year. So, but let's talk about the game, Mike.
Right on. It's a dub, right? So anytime you can get a win, that's the important part. There were good things. I thought there were really good things to like about it. There were some groaners, like there was good, bad, ugly, right? I think that for me, the biggest good that I saw was Jameson Williams had a career day. And is it a fluke? I hope not. But wow, did we get him involved? He made some catches. He didn't have any like stupid drops that like, oh my gosh, that was a 3rd down that we could have, extended the play or extended the drive. He looked really good, which is everything we heard about during training camp was he's on fire. He's really come to play. He's really looking good. And we're like, yeah, we'll see it. We'll believe it when we see it. And wow, he really impressed me. So that was my biggest highlight for Week 1. What about yours on the high end, on the good stuff? Yes, he did slow down for that bomb. That's not a surprise. We should be ready for that.
So I don't know that the pass rush can get any better. Like, what's going to end up happening is that we're going to play quarterbacks that don't get the ball out of their hands as fast, right? And then I think that you'll see them, quote unquote, get home, which I think is where everybody's kind of going with the comment, like, we'll get better. But like, I think they'll get home more often because we're playing quarterbacks that want to hold the ball for 4 or 5 seconds. Like Baker Mayfield next week is not going to get the ball out as fast as Matthew Stafford did. He's not going to hold it as long as some of the other quarterbacks will play either, but he's not a 2-second quarterback. Like, so I do think that the team overall.
I think Baker is the only player that got the ball out quicker than Stafford this week. I'll have to double check that.
Would you be a lamb and
Yeah,
double
we'll do
check that
that. But
for
I
me?
did want to show people we are the highest graded pass rush in the NFL this in week 1. The Steelers were right behind us, but we were number 1. So like our pass rush came to play. All right, so while we're
Yeah,
doing that,
Hutch had a pass rush win rate of 47%, which is like when we're looking at rookies, at like what their pass rush win rate was in college,
2.7.
we're looking at something like 18, 19, 20% is exceptional. And that's against college level tackles. So, yeah. So like 47% is like the guy just like stood up and let you buy him. And Hutch is on the field to do about one thing, which is to rush the passer. And like, he could improve. And I mean, he was decent at playing against the run at Michigan, but like they asked him to play against the run. The Detroit Lions are not asking him to play against the run. They are letting him scream around and try and get the quarterback. And like, if he maintains a 30% pass rush win rate for the season, like he's gonna get a sack every game. Like it's just not possible that he's gonna have. He plays almost 90 snaps on defense, 60, 70, 80 snaps on defense every game. I think he played 70 this last game or whatever. So if you do 30%, that's 20. He's got 21 opportunities a game.
Yeah.
It's just disgusting. So
probably 17. I do have the time to throw up here. It shows Stafford at 2.58. So I'm kind of curious if this was PFF clocking it or not, because the other numbers that I saw was like 2.2 something.
Who does Andy Dalton play for?
Carolina. He got in for one drop back. But yeah, the other number that I saw, and I didn't see it from PFF, was like a 2.22 or 2.26 or something like that from Stafford. And that the number was supposed to be the second fastest. But as far as PFF's numbers, he's like 7th, or he's 8th.
Yeah, that's fine. So, I mean, he got the ball out quickly. That's the point. Like, the thing that I was very happy about Jameson Williams, and then I had a lot of questions. Because they just didn't throw the ball to Sam Laporta or Amon-Ra St. Brown almost at all. I was shocked. So we were talking before the podcast. I don't understand, because in the NFC title game last year and now week 1 this year, it seems like the Lions are just taking like 2 quarters off in these 2 games. And like, I don't understand it.
And it's the second half that allows teams to get back into games. It's not the first half where you can then come back and win. But
So they start the game out and they had relatively decent success running the ball with Montgomery. Well, they had a 3-and-out, and then they had pretty decent ball movement after that. And they got up. I think they got up 17-3.
Sounds right.
And I was thinking like, okay, here we go. This kind of is feeling what I was hoping. And then it was like, okay. Second half of the second quarter, all the third quarter, it was like, what's going on? What changed? I could understand something changing on defense, like Puka Nacua went out, Steve Avila went out for the Rams. Okay, maybe they had to change up what they were doing on offense to accommodate those losses. So, like, I could understand the plan having to be adjusted on the fly. But, like, on offense, I didn't get it. Like, it made sense to me that, like, okay, now it's Jahmyr Gibbs' series, or this is Jahmyr Gibbs' quarter. Like, I don't have any problem with that. But, like, he was not as effective, and like they threw the ball to him more, and like I think he had like 35 yards receiving. So that was pretty good. But like, and I don't know, I noticed they elevated Tom Kennedy to the
Yep.
game day roster, not Tim Patrick. So I think that was about not guaranteeing the contract. But like, and I think somebody in the chat said St. Brown was playing on the outside a lot. Zeke said it. So
Yep.
like, maybe they just had guys in spots they didn't usually want them to be in. But like if St. Brown is it not in the slot? It seems like Sam Laporta would be in the slot, or if Sam Laporta was on the line, then St. Brown would be in the slot, and you could put Tom Kennedy. I think the problem with the Lions receivers is that they're all slot receivers, all of them, except J-Mo. And by the way, I have this question. Why is his nick? I know you don't know, but so for the chat, but like, why is his nickname Waymo? I don't understand. All of a sudden, everything I see on Twitter and like Campbell is like, "Oh, Waymo is doing great," and I'm like, "Who the fuck is Waymo?" I don't understand it. But it just seemed like, I mean, by the way, if you check the offensive PFF grades for the Lions offense, the bottom player is Jared Goff.
Yeah, 43.2.
So like, I don't know. I don't really know what that was. Like, to me, like, it was the same exact stuff that I always complain about. Like, the ball's not in front of the receiver slowed down. The ball placement could have been way better because they want way more. Is that it? Is that a joke? Is that what it is? It's way more Waymo.
I got nothing.
Donkey Kong, is that legit or is that just like, are you kidding?
I think he's trolling us.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
You think he's
trolling? I think he's trolling us.
So the other thing, I think Brian just touched on this. None of these guys really played in the preseason.
Yeah,
like this is their getting out of the rust game.
So did neither did almost anybody else.
Well, maybe it affects them.
Strangely, Patrick Mahomes and crew did for like one series or two series, which I was a little surprised for. But like nobody on the Rams did either. Like Stafford didn't play, Puka didn't play, Kupp didn't play. Like none of those guys played. So I don't like using that as an excuse or seeing that as a reason for why we did this, because they're doing the same thing. And all things being equal, they still damn near beat us, except they had no starting left tackle or right tackle. They had another tackle that got hurt and was out, so they were on their third string. They had Puka Nacua that went out, and they lost their starting cornerback during the practice going up to the game. And like, we should have rolled over this team.
Well, I mean, we knew most of that stuff going into the game, and you seem to think that they were going to keep it about this close. So,
well, I thought it was going to be close, but I also didn't expect Puka Nacua to go out as early as he did, and I thought, eek, that's gonna be tough. And I thought they were going to beat us until both of their tackles were going to be gone for the game. I'm like, okay, well, we should be able to get home a little bit more often. I think we'll squeak out a victory. And we did squeak out a victory, but I knew it was going to be close. But once Nacua went down, we should have rolled over them. And once their backup tackle also went down, we should have rolled over them. And I was really disappointed in our offense outside of Jamison Williams and Montgomery. Everybody else just didn't seem to do the things that I would expect them to do. Like when you look at our PFF grades, Montgomery was stellar. Jamison Williams was stellar. And our offensive line was good. Yep. Gibbs was okay, but like everybody else, like the other guys that you would expect, if your quarterback is the worst player, not just on offense, but on the team, like nobody on defense was graded that low. He was the worst performing player on the entire team, and you usually just can't win that way. St. Brown at like a 51 grade. I was like, where is this coming from? We need to get this fixed up, which I think we will, right? I mean, this is week 1, and it's a 17-game season, but man, if we play like this against the Cowboys or the Niners, we won't beat them.
Williams' nickname Waymo is a nod to the self-driving car technology company headquartered in Detroit The name highlights Williams' quick acceleration and ability to make sharp cuts. What?
All right. I've never heard of such a thing,
That's
but
crazy.
appreciate the information there, Hatters. Hatters educating us. Love it.
Yeah. I was pretty happy with the way the defense played. I
thought the
pretty
defense
happy
played well.
Onwuzurike was out there. I mean, Marcus Davenport was generating pressure. Hutch was doing his thing.
Anzalone was a beast.
Anzalone had a great day, especially in the first 5 minutes of the game. He had like 3 tackles for loss. So, I mean, that was great. Everyone started out really well, and like I was happy with the way. Do I think the secondary could have played better? Yeah. But do I think that they're going to get better? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Like Branch and Davis.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Branch and Davis both dropped interceptions that were in their hands. And like if the team had 2 more turnovers, I mean, usually that results in.
There were a lot of even on like the Rams side, they're like, oh, if we would have just had this, or like if this penalty didn't take away our touchdown and we had to kick a few, like all of those kinds of things. And I think both teams can say that, and partially because it was such a close game. All those little things could have tipped the scales one way or the other. And hey, Kath, thanks for joining. But the scales tipped to us this week, and that's all we asked for, right? Is a W. So on the defensive side, I thought we played really, really well. 54 is, I mean, it's not a great score, but that's usually not the lowest score that you're going to have, right? Kyle Pecco at a 54 grade. And usually your worst performing player is going to be in the 40s, maybe even the 30s. But like, if your worst player is a 54, like that's not bad. Like we did really well. Thought we got really good on pressure. We had Jameson or Hutchinson led the NFL in pressures. Yeah. Better saying hi. Love it.
Oh man, she's getting a following, man.
Right, as she should. The Hutch led the NFL in pressures, tied with Micah Parsons with 11. So here's the crazy thing: if this was every game, 11 pressures times 17 games, it's like 187 pressures.
Exactly,
something
187,
stupid.
Like yeah.
Quick math, I had to do them.
So smart. He's really smart.
I do my best, but like he had 101 pressures, I think, this past year, and he was second. He was only one of 2 people, Parsons being the other, with over 100 pressures. So like this can't be sustainable. But holy shit, that was such a good game.
Yeah, he basically has 2 games worth of pressures in this game, and so like what I am taking away from this game is like. So I did a quick, I know you can't see this, but it's notes. And I did a quick check. Like if most of the time the Rams defensive linemen were in this arrangement, Byron Young, he's an edge. Turner, the guy that you really like, what's his name? Kobe Turner?
Kobe, yep.
Braden Fiske, who's a rookie.
Fisk. Yep.
I think it's Fiske. I think I was saying it wrong earlier because they pronounced it Fiske on the broadcast. But
did they? I thought it was Fisk. Anyway,
I thought it was Fisk too.
Well, it's not Avila either. It's Avila, which I didn't realize until the thing. But
there you go.
They're not our team, so we can call them whatever the hell we want.
That's true. And Jared Verse, their first round rookie.
Yep. Teammates with Fisk.
Yes. So here are the weights of their starting defensive linemen. Byron Young is listed at 250 pounds. Jared Verse is listed at 260 pounds. Okay, they're edge rushers. That's fine. Turner is listed at 288. And Fisk is listed at 297. So here are the weights of the listed weights of the Detroit Lions offensive linemen. Decker is at 318. Glasgow is 315. Ragnow's 310, which seems light. He seems like he's bigger than 310. Zeitler's listed at 340. And Sewell's listed at 335. So on average, they're giving like the Rams defensive linemen were giving up anywhere from 15 to 60 pounds, depending on who they were matched up against. And like, here's my thing. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is a really good player, and I really changed my opinion on the fact that I was unhappy about them drafting him at 12 or whatever it was. Yep. And he very clearly is not just all finesse, you know, and I am thrilled that he's on the team. However, when you have on average, let's say a 20-pound advantage or more on the defensive lineman that you are lining up against, David Montgomery is the dude that looks like someone surgically grafted chicken drumsticks onto his legs, you know, and like he is the dude that the pile goes forward when he is going to the ground. Like he always seems to fall forward. He's one of those guys. And they were effective with him running the ball during the first quarter, early second quarter. And obviously during overtime. And like, I think that overtime happened because 4 quarters of some dude that's bigger than you just leaning on you all game.
Yeah.
And eventually it's just like, I'm tired. I don't have my legs anymore. And it shows up right now, unfortunately. Like, why couldn't it show up in the second overtime quarter, right? Like, but I think that that last drive, it was just like, okay, I mean, they didn't do much but run. They were just like, line the ball up and beat them to death with it. Like, and I think that was probably the plan.
Yeah. I think Goff only threw 1 pass in overtime.
Great. You know, like,
yeah.
So when they started, he started targeting Jameson Williams real early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I watched like 4 or 5 times on replay was the crossing route that he went for like 38 on right away.
Yeah.
Because Goff does the play action where he's going to hand the ball off, right? And he puts his right foot in the ground, and he looked at 0 other wide receivers. He put his foot in the ground and just started throwing to Jameson Williams immediately. And then Jamo hit it on the crosser. I'm going to call him Jamo because I just don't like the other one.
Yeah.
But like he gets on and it's 38. And I'm just like, well, that's what he's here to do. You know, it's not a 9 route. So I'm thrilled. And then I don't know when it was, like not much longer. Like he beat Tre'Davious White. Like he caught him stealing food. I mean, it was ridiculous. Like he beat Tre'Davious White so cleanly that Tre'Davious White tried to tackle him when he knew that he was beat so that he wouldn't get past him. And he had to, as Dr. Detroit, I think, pointed out earlier, Jamo had to slow down and wait for the ball to get there, you know, and like, but he was beaten. I mean, he beat his guy so cleanly that like he could afford to do it. So, I mean, okay, whatever, you know, touchdown, you know, but like, I was like, okay, so they targeted Jameson Williams like 9 times in this game, you know, and so Laporta and St. Brown together didn't have 9 targets. So I'm thinking like, okay, that makes a little bit of sense, or I can rationalize that because you wanted to run the ball so much. That's how they beat them in the playoff game, was they ran on them quite heavily. Okay, I can understand, you know, you want to keep both guys fresh, you want to keep both guys healthy. So like Montgomery gets the first 2 quarters, and then Gibbs gets the second 2 quarters. Then I guess it's Montgomery's turn in overtime or whatever, because he didn't think you were going to get a 5th quarter. And that's how that shit went, or what have you. And it was just kind of this like, let's get everyone warmed up, develop a rhythm, spread the snaps out a little bit, that kind of thing. And then I thought, fuck that. Why aren't we doing what's proven to work? Like
the thing that worked all game.
Like, let's just put fucking Monty Williams, in the David. I'm sorry, not Monty. Monty Williams? What am I doing? David Montgomery in the backfield behind an offensive line that outweighs them by anywhere from 15 to 60 pounds, and just do that 25 times in the game, especially when the offense wasn't moving the ball down the field. I just didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I could understand like, okay, you have a 3 and out, let's go back to this other thing and see if it can set us up to get some movement, and we'll just try and
change something up, like see what's gonna, yeah.
But they have this 15-20 minute stretch in the middle of the game where it was, Los Angeles was not incompetent at moving the ball. Like, they moved the ball, and like, whether it's Goff to Kupp or whether it was Matthew Stafford to Kupp, like, the common denominator, and that is that, like, if you throw to Cooper Kupp when he's healthy, and they targeted him 21 times this game, and like, I know that like Nakua,
they had nobody else.
Well, I mean, like, the kid they threw to, Turner, had ripped off a 68-yard pass, and they were throwing to him, and they threw to Parkinson, their tight end. But I mean, like, yeah, you expect Kupp to get that kind of work, and like, when it's working that well, why? I don't know why
they couldn't stop it.
Well, I mean, it's just impossible.
In his touchdown, they've run that play, and I've watched. I'm a Stafford fan, so I've watched all of the Rams games since he went over there, and they've run that play probably 20 times, and I think it's been successful 20 times. Like, I saw him coming across. As soon as I saw him cut and head back right as they snapped it, I'm like, that's a touchdown. You can't stop that. You just cannot stop that with a guy that runs the routes that well. When you already have the defense moving with you, right, and then you make a cut and you're on the 2-yard line, you're not stopping that.
No.
I want to say it's something like 20 out of 20, or I don't know, maybe there was Cooper Kupp doesn't drop the ball, so there wouldn't be a drop. But it's something absurd, where you're just like, all right, that's the play that you're going to run for a touchdown, because it always works. And I think that's something we need to do as well with a guy like, say, Brown. If you get him coming across, as soon as he gets behind that tight end, he cuts back. I think as long as you put the ball in his hands, he's going to catch it for a touchdown.
Yeah, I agree. And Matthew Stafford is good. Cooper Kupp is good. You put those two guys together and they know what they're doing. Like, it's difficult to stop. I was still not unhappy with how the Lions cornerbacks played, and so I thought Carlton Davis looked pretty good. I thought Terry Arnold looked pretty good. Now Matthew Stafford targeted those two guys a lot in this game. I think that Arnold had 10 times they threw the ball to his guy, and Davis, they threw the ball to the guy he was guarding 13 times. So they were not afraid to go after the starting corners.
And I think Davis had two, or Arnold had 2 defensive pass interference calls against him.
Yeah,
if I remember right. But he's a rookie, right? This is right. Cornerback, they say, on the defense is the hardest position to transition to from college to pro. So this is kind of stuff that's going to happen.
And if you look at like Brian Branch, like, his tackling grade in this game was awful. And like, apparently he went to Campbell after the game and said that he wasn't going to miss those tackles anymore. Because that's the thing that, like, he made his bones on in college and like in his first year in Detroit, was that he was just an exceptional tackler. And he took some bad angles, and he didn't tackle people well in this game, and like, that matters. And like, I think that will get better. I do think Terry and Arnold will get better. Like, he had some kind of injury in the preseason and was limited in practice, and then he went out for a couple of plays in this game and came back in. And when he came back in is when Matt targeted him, and he got the PI, the second PI that set up their touchdown. And I think that just gets cleaned up, because we haven't seen a Lions team that just keeps making those kinds of mistakes.
I mean, this is definitely not the end of the world. A, we came out with a victory. B, there's a lot of stuff that we go, okay, we need to work on this. Like, there's some things that we don't have to tweak much. We just need to keep doing what we're doing. Looking at the pass rush information, like, if we take a look at pressures, so like Hutch had 11, Davenport had 6, Onwuzurike had 5. They're all in I think the top 20, if I remember right, in the NFL. I didn't see what the numbers were after last night's game, but they were like all in the top 20, 25-ish in the NFL. They're getting, and 3 sacks. Like, we're doing good things on the defensive line. We finally have a decent defensive line that we can be proud of since Sue left us in 2010 or whenever that was, right? So it's been a while. Maybe it was 2012, I think, when we had Sue and we actually had a good defense. But this is the first time since then we can put pressure on the quarterback. Now, we didn't have cornerbacks at that time like we do now. So now we've almost got like that perfect combination of we can get the pressure, we can force them to throw early, and we've got guys that can actually cover. And if we can get some of the tackling cleaned up, I think we're going to have a really strong defense.
Yeah, I'm genuinely quite pleased with the way the defense played. Like, if the Lions hold their opponents to 20 points a game, they'll win 13 games real easy. Like, I think the NFL scoring average by team was something like 23 or 24 points last year. So if you are holding teams to a field goal under the average, you're going to win more games than you. And remember, like last year, and last year was last year, but like last year the Lions had no trouble putting points on the board. And if they had played the whole game and not taken off 20 minutes in the middle of the goddamn thing, then they might have put up another touchdown or something like that. So I'm in a way, I'm kind of happy the game went like this because there's a lot to work on. Yep. And if they had just come out and were great, you might just be like,
we're good.
Well, we're great.
Yeah.
But if you come out and there's like, well, all right, cool, got the W. Now we need to go back and clean this shit up. Like, that seems like the kind of thing like this team wants to do. Like, I'm going to put that in my lunch pail and go to work to that, work with that tomorrow. But
just to take a look at across the NFL where we're at. So edge rushers, we got Hutch at number 2. We've got let's see. Who else we have in here? Davenport at 37 with a 67, which isn't bad. Anytime you see green, you're doing okay. So when we look at the pressures, we got Hutch up there with number 1. It's eerie how similar to Micah Parsons it is. They both had a sack, 4 hurries, 4 hits, 6 hurries, 3 tackles. Hutch was targeted once in coverage for no completion, so awesome job there. But like, they're almost identical all the way across. So Hutch had an extra assist on the tackle. Parsons had an extra ball batted down. And Parsons had 1 more missed tackle. But like, if you're going to be up there fighting with Micah Parsons when it comes to like stats, you're killing it. So on the defensive side there, I think we've done really well. On the receiving side, we've got JMO at the 7th highest graded receiver in the league week 1. So that's awesome. Linebacker, we've got I know I'm looking right through him. There he is. Derek Barnes is actually at 17 and Anzalone's at 14, like our linebackers. Those 2 guys came up and did well. Running backs, Montgomery was the 3rd highest graded running back. And where was he? Gibbs, not too far behind at 22, right? So like, even our second best guy is better than the starters on 10 other teams, right? So like, we had a lot of really good individual players, and I was really impressed with how we were able to be scrappy, gritty, and we didn't fold. Like, we could have folded at the end. That is not the Lions now. We were down by 3. We had to make a stop, and we did. We had to drive down the field in field goal range, and we did. We kicked the field goal. We had a kicker that could do that. We went into overtime. We could have had a turnover and lost the game. All they needed is a field goal at that point, but we drove down the field, punched him in the mouth, and Montgomery just ran, and our offensive line just kept pushing them around like they were bullies. It was a lot of fun to watch.
So I'm very happy that Onwuzurike contributed in this game. He had half a sack. He generated pressure. he made his presence basically like known, and he started. Like he's a starter. Lee McNeil didn't do anything. I don't understand. He had a tackle, I think, in the game, and like was just not a factor. But like I didn't understand that. I'm excited to see what the line looks like with DJ Reader in it. Jack Campbell didn't play kind of the way I was hoping he would. Good against the run. Great. They didn't run the ball. I mean,
great.
Yeah. I mean, they just it got to the point where the Lions are up 17-3. Like that's the other side of this is that like the Rams scored 17 unanswered to take the lead at 20-17, I believe, and then they went down and tied it, and then we went to OT and scored. But like, I thought it was interesting that some guys really showed up and others didn't, and which guys did and didn't in this game. And I just don't think that that'll be the case much this season. Like I think that St. Brown will have 16 out of 17 games where he's targeted 10 times or whatever the case is.
Yeah, Brian brings up a good point. I think McVay is a lot like Ben Johnson, or Ben Johnson's a lot like McVay, where they can go, all right, this is how we're going to scheme around the other team and pull that shit off pretty easily. And we've done that as well. I think we did that even against the Rams once we kind of figured things out. But yeah, we just
he might want to do
passes.
He might want to do a better job because they're 0-2 against the Lions in the last 2 games. I mean, like
it's true.
So I mean, like if the goal of the scheme is to like get it close, then they're doing a real fucking good job of it. I mean, like
they're 1-2 against us since the trade.
Oh, since the trade. So
yeah, since the trade, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So like this game had the feel of like we're moving it. We haven't had our coffee yet kind of a feel to it. Like as far as I was concerned, and you should, because it counts in the win or loss column, depending on how you do. Like, ask the Packers.
Yeah.
Right? So, these games matter, whether it's the first game of the season or the last game of the season. They all kind of tally the same. So, you should come out ready to go and be good, but like that's just also not the way that human beings are.
Yep.
I expect Detroit to get better. I expect most NFL teams to get better. Not the Panthers, not the Browns, but teams that are in the playoffs.
And the Patriots have nowhere to go but down.
I don't understand that. I understand that like you cannot ask a group of men whose job is to play football to go out there and not give everything that they have, because then if they put that on tape, no one will ever sign them again.
Right.
But I don't think that New England wants to win too many games, this season.
I don't think they're gonna have a choice but to not win too many games.
Who does Cincinnati have next week? Because that team might just be looking to get an early W here. They're playing at Kansas City. Well, good luck, boys. So
that'll be a good game.
That's not well.
Hopefully they play better. Hopefully the New England game for them was a wake-up call. I really like Joe Burrow. I think he's probably the second best quarterback in the NFL when he's healthy.
Well, that's just it.
Right? So, like, he's fun to watch. I think he's really good.
I hate his hair.
Well,
I hate his hair.
I'm jealous that he has hair, so I that's part of the reason why I hate it. But
so all in all, I think the W is the W. I thought some players looked real good, and I thought other players were like, I expected you to look real good, and you didn't. But I expect everybody to get better. Here's the thing I think that I just want to say, because I felt like it kind of got proven a little bit correct here in this one, is that like David Montgomery needs to be the bell cow of this team. David Montgomery.
He was so good. David
Montgomery is the tone-setting guy that gets you going, that falls forward. And I like Gibbs, but I feel like Gibbs is more of a like in this matchup kind of a player, or we have a package of things we want to run with you. But like if you need to line up and change the down and distance, like it's David Montgomery that's going to do that for you. So I have a hard time seeing him be effective and then not seeing him.
Yeah. And
so,
then watch us not be effective when he's not
right.
there.
Now, that also kind of sounds like, well, if he had been in there, like, then they would have been effective. And like, that's not, maybe just not true. We don't know that.
Right.
But like, so what is that? What is it? What kind? Some kind of fallacy? What is it? I can't remember what the term is.
Probably.
Logical fallacy, something like that. But
it's probably one.
Yeah. But like, hey, Joey. Hey, man, haven't seen you in a minute, dude. How you been?
Joey 2 times. Good evening. Yeah, Victory Podcast is
OG
right.
OG follower. I'm thrilled. Okay, buddy. Yeah, we got the W. That's awesome. But yeah, so, I do think that the thing that makes this team great, the offensive line was great, and no one got hurt. So I'm pretty happy.
True. Yeah, the Rams did get a lot of pressure on Goff, but I thought that the line, our offensive line, held up well enough where that shouldn't have been a problem or a reason for less success, right?
Yeah,
especially considering they outweighed them so much. I didn't realize how much bigger our line was compared to them.
And like I don't think that's plain weights. But I mean, they're certainly not like weighing Frank Ragnow being like, oh, we're going to put this on the website, Frank, like,
yeah.
I hope you didn't have a starch heavy diet, today or whatever. But like, so I don't know what these guys are walking around at, and like Kobe Turner certainly doesn't look little by any stretch of the imagination, but like the sack that Byron Young won on early in the game, he ran a stunt and he's fast.
The one on the inside where he started on the outside and ran inside to the guard.
Yeah, it was like I think that was that third down on the 3 and out.
Yeah.
And that's what he does. And he's pretty good at it, and I'm not saying that, I mean, like, I'm just saying that if I had a dude that could get his hands on Byron Young, like Byron Young's job is not get people's hands on him, right? Like,
yeah.
And like we had some people who were inactive for this game, like James Houston didn't play. Hang on, actually.
I thought that was interesting. I was a little surprised that he was a healthy scratch.
Yeah, I think he's hurt. So we had DJ Reader, Melifonwu, Houston, Lauren Strickland, Trevor Nowaski, Sorsdal, and Manu. That's not a surprise. So, but like that's 4 people that's 3 people that I would expect to play quote unquote starter level snaps in Reader, Melifonwu, and Houston who didn't play. And like, so one thing I'm going to be looking at this year is the way that the secondary aligns, because I'm kind of fascinated by our new secondary. And we had Arnold, Davis, Joseph, Branch. There's one more dude in there. There's a 5th guy.
Davis.
Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph.
Rakestraw.
He only played 3 snaps. Or Meek Robertson's the other guy, but he played 36 snaps. I thought we had a 5th guy who played snaps in the 70s. Let's see. Joseph Davis, Robertson, Arnold. No, I'm wrong. So basically what you had was the 4 starting defensive backs, and then the nickel played half the snaps, which is weird because in the playoff game against the Rams, we were in nickel 100% of the time. They never played. They always had a third corner on the field. But Melifonwu was the other safety, and it was Branch that was in the nickel. So that's the kind of thing that I'm wondering, did that make a difference? Like if Melifonwu had been available and healthy, and Branch could have been in the nickel, would we have been in nickel the entire time? Like, is the difference between Branch and the nickel and Robertson and the nickel worth changing your defensive alignment for half the defensive snaps? So I don't know. But anyways, enough on this. Like we won by 6 points. I'm stoked. So.
Yep.
Okay. So we're playing the
Week
other
2.
team that we played in the playoffs last year.
Yeah,
Just gonna
it's
start
crazy,
right
isn't
out.
it?
Yeah, why not?
Hey, if we beat them last year, we can beat them this year. We've already proved that with the Rams, right?
That is, well, yeah. And
although
Bucs,
Baker Mayfield played really well.
I mean, like, that's fine, but I didn't love.
I bet Cleveland's pretty upset that they got rid of him. Poor Cleveland.
Was it you that I was talking
bitches.
to about the money left on Deshaun's deal?
Yeah.
So, it's for those of you who are wondering, it's horrible. Oh, and they have a new lawsuit filed against him today.
Maybe they can get out of it.
They can't. So I am looking at the Bucs starting lineup. So they have their offensive line is Trifton Worse. He's pretty good.
I heard him.
Ben Bredesen went to Michigan. Their first round pick, Graham Barton out of Duke. I think he was a first round pick. Yeah, 26. Cody Mock, who yet another North Dakota State Bison who somehow keeps getting drafted. And this guy Luke Gedicke, who they have 4 positions who have been in the NFL 5 years or less. And Barton's a rookie, Mock's in his second year, and Gedicke's in his second year. So their whole line is really anchored by Wirfs. So I think that if you're going to, what I would do in this game is DJ Reader's supposed to be back, which means I don't think they're running the ball at all effectively. Like, I think that the Bucs running the ball next week looks a lot like the Rams running the ball this week, which is like to say under 100 yards, not really changing down in distance. Ronnie Rivers had a nice run for the Rams at one point. We didn't see Blake Corum. He played on special teams, but
I was a little surprised by that.
So, but like, I didn't think that Kyron Williams was putting them in like 2nd and 5, or if they had a 3-yard pass or something to Cup, it wasn't like it was going to be 3rd and 2. That's the difference. Like the down and distance for them was longer, and they just switched to passing, which was completely effective. But like, I think Tampa's going to have a more difficult time to run. By the way, I will say, I thought that am I thinking of the Panthers guards? That
I try not to think about any Panthers players.
The two guards that the Rams signed, Dotson and Jackson, I thought they played pretty well, considering. But I think I'm thinking of the Panthers guards because they also paid a lot for 2 guys, and I think that those 2 offseason signings were the guys that played the best on their team. So at least they locked down their guard position. So I'm probably thinking of the Panthers. But like, our cornerback group is going to be tested again. So I mean, Mike Evans is a great wide receiver. Chris Godwin, when he's healthy, is a great wide receiver. And they drafted Jalen McMillan out of Washington, and he is I think a nice 3rd option at this point in his career, as a rookie. But like, I'm looking at their defense, and I'm just not afraid of it. So like, I don't know why Antoine Winfield is not on here. Maybe he didn't play in week 1, so we'll probably have to check his injury status during the week. But like, their starting corners for this last week were Zion McCollum. Ever heard of him? He played at Sam Houston State. And then Jamel Dean, who is a good corner. And then Tyke Smith is their nickel, who is a rookie. And Vita Vea is a nice, big run stopper right in the middle. But like, that's Frank Ragnow's specialty, as those guys. And like, I just don't think that like Yaya Diaby, who is their emerging pass rush guy, I don't think that Penei Sewell's going to have any trouble with him. And like, hang on one second. Let me switch to their base defense. The kid that they drafted out of Pitt, who everyone was like, "Oh, this is the next Aaron Donald," who weighed like 280 pounds. Like, I don't even see him listed in their defensive alignment for week 1. And like their linebackers were KJ Britt and the like omnipresent like Levante David. So those guys are going to get tackles.
Right.
But like once again, here is another team that I think fits the exact kind of theme that what we just saw with the Rams, is that the Tampa Bay is an offensive oriented team that has a worse. I have to go turn off my alarm. I apologize. Hey, Mike, vamp.
Right on. All right. Winfield's out per Zeka, so that'll be interesting. All right, so while Drew is out, I'm going to pop some stuff on stage here and run some next-gen stats, because we've actually got a few Lions in here. So this is the list of fastest ball carriers.
Mike loves this.
I do. This is so much fun. I mean, I'm an analytics nerd, right? So we have Jamison Williams, who went 21.03 miles an hour for the 5th fastest ball carrier. I don't think we had anybody on a longest play. Yeah, we don't have anybody on the longest play. Fastest sack, we had 2 guys at a fastest sack. Levi Onwuzurike and Marcus Davenport both had sacks at 3.21 seconds. So, and I think that was the only one for us there. Longest tackles. Are you ready to have your mind blown, Drew?
Please.
We had the number 1 longest tackle.
What is a longest tackle?
Longest tackle is the distance that a player has to run from the start of the play to making the tackle.
Oh, great. That sounds like a stat that I don't want to be a part of at any point.
Rodrigo ran 84.8 yards to make a tackle on a pass
I love
play.
that guy.
So, like, to me, this shows, like, hustle, never give up. Like, I am in it until the end of the whistle kind of thing. And I love seeing, like, this is almost 20 yards more than the second longest play. So I just thought that was really cool, because that's a long-ass ways to run. We had no improbable completions because all of ours are wide open. Incredible yak. I want to say we had one. Maybe it wasn't this one. Maybe it was the last. Remarkable rushes. We had one. David Montgomery had one that was expected to get 8 yards, and he got 21. So we got 13 yards over expected. So
that's what he does.
That is what he does. I like to see more of those as years go by. So those are the next gen stats for Detroit Lions stuff. So and Drew's back from turning off his alarm. That worked out well.
I have to do my stretches. It's 8 o'clock, but because I'm an old man, but with a shitty back. But anyways, Tampa Bay.
I feel that.
I think the game plan for beating Tampa Bay is a lot like the game plan for what we wanted to do to beat the Rams, except that we're going to practice it. You have a game under your belt. You're going to practice it all week. Hopefully people get healthy. But I think the plan is we're going to run the ball because they have a small defensive lineman, and our offensive line is great. And when we need to throw the ball, we'll need to throw the ball. And there's not a person on their team. I mean, very few teams can say this, but like there's not a person on their team that can run stride for stride with JMO. So,
right.
I think that it's probably going to look a lot like it did this last week, except in the middle 2 quarters, you can throw the ball to St. Brown and Laporta and give the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs, and whatever. But why would they want this game bad? Because we beat them in the playoffs last year. Tough shit. Like, is it in Detroit or is it at Tampa?
It's in Detroit.
They're fucked. I mean, like, that's just it. I mean, like, I have such a hard time believing that Tam into Detroit and beat the Lions at home. So
I don't think we will. I don't think they will either.
I also think that Tampa is going to be a little one-dimensional. Like, they obviously want to throw the ball. Okay. But let's just say that that's the case. If Tampa throws the ball on the Detroit Lions as well as the Rams did in this last game, I think it's an automatic loss for the Bucs. Like, I understand that the the pass is what kept the Rams in this game and got them to come from behind, and they took the lead or whatever. Ultimately, I think what is going to matter the most for the Lions is that they establish the run right off the back. And if Winfield, Zakewin, you know, if Winfield is able to play this upcoming week, you said he was out. Was he out for week 1 and back for week 2, or is he like out? Is he like on NFI? But like, I see Detroit doing what they wanted to do. He will be out. They're cooked as far as I'm concerned. Like, I think Detroit's just going to line up, and they might just run up. They just might line up with Laporta and Wright out there and just be like, here we go. Or no, not.
We had 3 tight ends a couple times. I'm like, yeah. I see Hesse, I see Wright, and I see Laporta. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
I didn't see Skipper. I know that Skipper reported at least once that I saw, but if I might be something like, we're gonna run 6-0 linemen and just, I mean, 6-on-4, and like Sewell tries to get to the second level. I mean, if that happens, if you end up getting Sewell on a linebacker or a safety, come on. So I mean, like, so I just think that this game is gonna. I mean, like, I think that they ran the ball more than they passed it against the Rams, and I think they're gonna run the ball more than they pass it against the Bucs.
Do you want to see some fun additional next gen stats?
I really do.
You do. All right. So this is rushing by direction, and wide right is where we did the best for Montgomery. Is it any shock that running behind Sewell is the way to make a successful run? 5 attempts, 35 yards, and a touchdown. Like, this was, I mean, granted, we did okay over here too. Like, 5 for 27 is pretty good on the other side of Taylor Decker. But I saw that, I'm like, of course, if you're going to run right, you're not going to run inside of Sewell. You're going to run outside of Sewell. Let him just plow through.
And I think that Zeitler, I mean, that one attempt at 5 yards, I mean, I don't mind 1 for 5, you know, like,
right.
It's just, that's the least amount of yardage, but like, you know, Zeitler's 34 and enormous, you know, so like,
yeah,
I think that if you, I mean, like, yeah, okay.
I mean, it comes down to the defense too, right? So yeah. If they're going to be plugging the gap in the middle, then you go around the edge. If they're going to really hone in and try to shut off the corners, then you run on the inside, because Sewell can do whatever you can do whatever you want with Sewell there. So I think it just, for us, it just made more sense to run wide right. The other thing I thought was really interesting was the league average for separation for a receiver is 2.96 yards. And Jamison Williams was at 3.65. Laporta was at 3.64. Wright and Brown were really close to the league average. But, like, does this shock you at all that JMO had more separation than normal?
So, in a way, yes. Because...
Really?
In this, I'll explain it. So, like...
Okay. Tell me more!
I guess the thing that I'm surprised at is that St. Brown didn't have that.
I think
he's quicker than fast, but like,
I think this is why. And I think the thing that shocked me over here was, and I don't know if maybe Puka or Cooper Kupp did not have his tracker on, or it was not activated or not working, because that seems way off. Like,
all
0.
of his routes were like really short.
They were short, but like, so I mean, was he like covered like stink on poop like the entire time?
No.
Or is 0 yards of separation just a bad stat? I saw that, I'm like, I cannot believe it. Puka Nacua, on the other hand, he was wide open.
Well, I thought
so they got some separation.
I thought it was pretty clear that of the two, they were going to let Puka be the one to catch the ball.
Yeah. We'll stop Kupp if we have to stop one of the two.
Basically, you know, yeah. And, you know, who knows what would have happened if he played the whole game. But
I wonder if he's getting doubled more. And if you're being doubled more, you're probably not having that kind of separation, because you got a guy on the inside, you got a guy on the outside, or you got a guy shallow, you got a guy deep, something along those lines, where I wonder if that's why he did not beat the league average for separation.
Yeah, my guess is with that number looking like an actual zero that like he just didn't have the tracker on. But like
Yeah, that's my guess.
because there's no way that he had zero separated. The dude was open all the time.
Yeah.
But like my thing about JMO is that he had all the prep right off the bat in the season and he's healthy for the first time. And when they run the right kind of routes for him, which to me are crossers and slants, like he is going to he's going to outrun whoever's covering him. Unless you're going to hand him off to another defender down the line, that's great. We'll wait till he gets on the linebacker and then we'll throw the ball to him. Right. But I think that's why he had that amount of separation, is that he's just literally faster than everybody else.
And then the last thing that I thought was interesting was on the defensive pass rush. The average separation from the quarterback for the league is 4.5 yards. Davenport and Hutch were under that, but I was actually a little surprised that Davenport was under it more than Hutch was. He was closer on average to the quarterback than Hutch. I don't know if that's because they're double teaming Hutch or...
Are you serious?
I don't know exactly why, but
he's like the third highest double teamed edge in the entire NFL last year.
Yeah, I did not. I watched the game as a fan live. I have not gone back and rewatched it as more of like with an analytical eye to look at those kind of things. So, but yeah, I thought that was interesting. Not surprising that Hutch was closer than average, but I was pleasantly surprised with Davenport being well closer than average.
Yeah, I mean,
Fisk and Verse also killed it. They were on us.
Did you feel that the Rams pass rush was effective?
Yes, I did. I thought they got on Goff, and I think that was in part why he played poorly.
Okay.
Was he got rushed? He didn't. Outside of a couple plays, the big one to JMO, obviously, but like outside of a couple plays, he had very little time. He actually had, as far as PFF stats go, a shorter time to throw than Stafford. And at least he threw it quicker than Stafford. And I think that's why he was so ineffective, was they got to him quick enough. He gets flustered under pressure. And I think that was why he did not play as well. Is because they did actually get closer to him.
Well, I think that the formula is going to be to hand the ball off a lot. So,
yeah,
shouldn't be that big of an issue. And
it'll open up the pass too, right?
I should hope. I mean, I don't really care who gets the ball, so long as like
we march on the field and score.
Yeah. Like Jameson had over 100 yards receiving, so I was happy about that, and if that's St. Brown and not Jameson Williams or Laporta or not St. Brown, fine, right. But like I think the Lions are starting 2-0, and I'm going to pick them to win by 10 like I did them to pick to win by 10 over the Rams. So
I think I'll agree with you on that one. I think we are going to start 2-0, and I think we will beat them by over 10. I wouldn't be surprised if we beat them by like 2.5, 3 touchdowns we're pissed off that we took this last team to overtime. We've got our shit together finally. And all of these things that ended up in maybe a turnover, because I know we had an interception, and or a missed opportunity or something like that. I think we're going to correct that in a big way this week. And I think we're going to come out and really lay it to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about it. Like, I think that Baker has the kind of like, which version of Baker Mayfield showed up this week where he could just be the best quarterback in the NFL on that particular week kind of thing to him. It just hasn't been proven to be a consistent thing. And that's about the only thing that I think could happen that will, quote unquote, beat the Lions is if like God Baker Mayfield shows up. But I still don't think that that's going to happen. And like, if Reader's back, if Melifonwu's back, I mean, like if Houston, Melifonwu, and Reader play 30 snaps apiece, Like, I think that this defense looks a lot different. And like the Lions beat this team in the playoffs last year. And, I didn't particularly love Tampa Bay's offseason, so we'll see. I mean, that's why you play the games, but on
just ask
paper,
New
I'm
England.
pretty confident, so.
Yeah.
And if these are the teams I'm pretty confident about, like, I think that we'll play worse teams, as the season goes on. So I just am looking forward to it. I'm not scared. I mean, like, I went to sleep before the game was over, and I woke up at like 6 and was like, oh, okay. Like, they won by 6 in overtime. That's a little closer than I thought it was going to be. But like, let's just take a real quick look at I got the schedule up here.
Yeah.
They got the Rams and Bucs at home. I expect to be 2-0. The Cardinals played the Bills really tough in week 1. And I'm wondering if that's a sneaky good team this year. The Seahawks secondary was unbelievable. And we have the Seahawks at home in week 4. And we have not played the Seahawks well in years past for whatever reason. Then we go to the Cowboys. Then we're at the Vikings. Then the Titans come to Detroit. Then we're at the Packers, at the Texans, home against the Jags, at the Colts, Bears, Packers, Bills, Bears, 49ers, Vikings. I think this is going to be a much more difficult season. Week 1 is I think week 1 is starting to highlight some things I want to keep an eye on. So health's going to be unbelievably important. And Jared Goff has to play better.
Well, obviously, like, this was his worst game in like 2 years or something for us. So
Carlton Davis,
I don't see that happening again.
Okay.
And if it does, I think we lose, but I don't think it will. So yeah, Danny says Carlton Davis revenge game. Davis didn't. I mean, he had the dropped interception, but overall, didn't think he played terrible. But did he come from Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
So
we traded them a 3rd round pick for him.
Yeah. And Zeka says 30-20 Lions over Tampa.
Yeah.
It seems about right. Although that is assuming, or I am assuming that means 2 field goals. Right?
20-30?
3 field goals. So 3 touchdowns, 3 field goals.
Yeah, that's one.
I'm not sure we're going to kick that many field goals in one game in any game this year.
Well, let me say this about the field goals. Like, all the field goals that they kicked this game, Badgley made those field goals last year. I mean,
yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like they nailed a 55-yarder,
right,
to send the game in overtime or something. It was
I'm just not. We don't kick many field goals. So,
well, I mean, like, they only went for it on 4th down once in this game.
It's true.
I don't think that was. I mean, like, I don't think that means because they were kicking more field goals or that type of scenario. But like, and maybe the game situation simply didn't dictate that they should go for it on 4th down in certain spots. But like, they only had one attempt, and I think they were successful in it. But if they
the game tire.
Yeah, I mean, if our defense is keeping the Bucs to around, I mean, say it's the 3rd quarter and it's something like 13-21 or something like that. I don't know, 13-24 or whatever it is. Like, you should kick field goals. Like, you should just put points.
Just keep chipping away at the lead.
You should just continue to make it as difficult as it possibly can be to force the Bucs into being a single-dimensional team, which I think they are anyways. I think that they are. I mean, I didn't. Let me go look up what they did in week 1. Oh, come on, computer! This is the kind of content everybody's here for.
Yeah. And while you're struggling with your computer, I will note that Baker Mayfield had a passer rating under pressure of 124.4, which is pretty good. And Goff had a passer rating under pressure of 153.3.
It's interesting.
Yet another reason why I hate passer rating.
Yeah, passer rating is just an absolute trash stat that.
Brian says 27-17 Lions over Bucs.
27. Okay, great.
Another 10-point. Danny, what say you? What about you, Zeka? Actually, Zeka already said that. Who else is up there? Donkey Kong. Dr. D. Kathy. What is the world wants to know? What does Kathy think?
Well, of course. The Bucs threw the ball 30 times in their game against the Commanders. Do we not do rushing stats on this site? Oh, there we go. And they ran the ball 24 times. So they were pretty even.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they're counting Baker's scrambles. But they had effectively 93 yards on the ground from their designed run plays. And the guy they gave the ball to the most averaged 2.1 yards per rush. So now the other guy averaged 6.9 yards per rush, but he had a 30-yard rush. So he had 9 rushes for 62 yards, one of which went for 30. So if you say he had 8 rushes for 30 yards, I'm pretty happy,
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that their yards per rush will be somewhere under 3, and the Lions will get up by something like 10 points by the second quarter, and then they'll throw the ball the whole time, and we'll try and control the clock and not turn the ball over. That seems to be Detroit Lions 101. In my opinion.
Danny says we beat them 20-6 last year, so he'll give it 33-10.
I have a hard time picking against Danny.
Because when you do, you lose.
Danny has this knack for being like, oh, there's only one chance to get this right. I'm going to pull out the 1%er here and then hitting it. So I would, by the way, of all the predictions, I like Danny's the best. If I had to sit down and watch a game, I want to watch that one.
Yeah.
But I do think that that's the difference in these two teams. Is I think that if Detroit plays 48 minutes of football, I think it's probably 33-10. I'm just hedging my bets because I'm scared.
Yeah.
So
we can definitely put up 33 points on them. Yeah. Right. And if our defense comes to play, if you get bad Baker and we get the kind of pressure and stuff that we did this past week against somebody who's not as good under pressure typically as a guy like Stafford, then we very easily could only give up 10. So I think 33-10 is a very reasonable possibility.
Yeah. And, that's always fun is when to me, the fun in watching my teams play is when it's this game's over, and it was over in the second quarter, and I didn't have to worry about it,
Yep.
But when I go to sleep and I'm like, oh God, I hope that nothing bad happens, and I wake up and it's like, oh shit, you had to win in overtime. That's not what I want.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have to watch it. You didn't have to watch the cardiac catch. It make you like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do here? Are we going to make it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got Tampa Bay on Sunday at 1, just a regular old Sunday afternoon game like normal. And then we will be back, as always, for hopefully yet another Victory Tuesday. But until then, I hope everybody has a fantastic week, and appreciate you guys popping into chat. And anybody that's watching on the video on demand later, appreciate that as well.
Let's go Lions.
Go Lions. All right, see you guys.